Welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video goes up on SouFLoTV. Let's get right into this topic. So, this is one of the reasons why I cannot be a racist, right? I just believe that there are good people and bad people in all races of people. If we're divided by races, I don't even like the race thing. I believe there is the human race, and then we are divided through ethnicity and whatever else division there is. Anyhow, this story right here brings to light three individuals whom I think deserve our utmost respect, right? Because people can easily turn their backs on your problems when they are the ones who benefit from the system that is in place. But it takes a person to put their comforts aside and lay down their lives or their freedom for those who are being oppressed. That person is a good person. The first article says the activists who blocked the road to stop UK deportation flight to Jamaica were brought to court, and they were tried and they were acquitted. Acquitted meaning the case was done. They beat the case. Three activists. This is what they did. These three guys, they laid on the road, laid their bodies down on the ground, used their bodies to block traffic. They laid on the road outside the immigration detention center to prevent people being put on a home office deportation flight that was heading to Jamaica. And now they have been cleared by a jury of charges of causing a public nuisance. The acquittal at lowest crown court was hailed by the defendants at the time when the right to nonviolent protests is under unprecedented threat. They have a right to protest nonviolently. You can protest all you want to as long as you're not breaking up public stuff, government property, breaking up other people's property or threatening anyone, right? You're not a threat to the safety of those around. You can stand outside with a placard that says whatever, or you can find other creative ways to protest like they did. They used their bodies, they laid in the road, they didn't beat anybody up. These three, a trainee midwife, Rivka Micklethwaite, who is a trainee midwife, Cullum Lynch, Griff Ferris, both law student or law graduates, they have been charged with public nuisance after blocking the road in front of what Brook House Immigration Removal Center in Gatwick, near the Gatwick Airport. All three welcomed the jury's verdict, and so did all their supporters. The activists, referred to by lawmakers as the Brook House Three, they gave evidence at the trial that they had been motivated by their grave concerns about the possible fate of the detainees if they had been forced to board this home office deportation flight that was heading to Jamaica. You know what they got up in court and said? They got up in court and they said, Your Honor, at least 5 men have been killed in Jamaica after they were removed forcibly from the UK. And we're concerned about that. We're concerned about what's going to happen to these guys when you force them onto a plane and send them back to the UK. Some of them have never been back to the UK, back to Jamaica rather. Some of them have never been back to Jamaica since they came to the UK as small children. They know nothing about Jamaica. Jamaica has two different sides to it like everywhere else. But as you know, the murder rate is pretty high per capita in Jamaica. And just seeing that 5 British people who were once citizens have lost their lives after being sent back. I don't think we should be in such a haste to send people back, especially if their crime that you're sending them back for is not one where they got violent with somebody here and shed blood or caused people to lose their lives here. They told the courts that they had hoped, because the courts asked them, why did y'all do this? Why are you blocking the road, laying down? Could you imagine, right? You're put on a bus and you're told this morning you're heading back to Jamaica. You're 40 years old. You left Jamaica at 2 or 3 years old. You have never been back to Jamaica. All your family and relatives and friends have moved up, gone on, passed away, all that other stuff. You have no known living relative or friend that you can connect with when you hit that island. And you're being put on a bus this morning to leave. Right? All right, so in continuation, right? They told the courts that they had opted that by lying on the road, they thought that they could lock themselves together using metal tubings that would prevent the detainees from being forcibly removed, right? And this was while they were packed in a bus heading to the tarmac to be delivered to the airplane that would have taken them away to Jamaica. They stopped that deportation. The nonviolent protests took place on November 9th of 2021. All but 4 of the people due to board the deportation flight to Jamaica were later removed from the flight list. All but 4. So in essence, they actually really saved a plane load of people. It was about 50 people, and all but 4 were later removed from the flight list. So they saved about 46 people from being deported to Jamaica. Mitchellthwaite told the court during the trial that people are traumatized and they are in dire circumstances. And if we are to be considered a first world nation, why are we treating people like this? They are human beings, right? Deportations are wrong and they are deeply unfair. That is their sentiment as to the whole deportation thing. Now, in a joint statement after the acquittal, the 3 defendants said, "We took action to prevent these people from being ripped away from their families, their country, and their loved ones, and from the places and the communities that they live in. At the same time that we blocked Brook House Detention Center, people inside were also resisting deportation. This prosecution was an aggressive attempt by the state to criminalize our act of solidarity." So in other words, they were fighting on the outside and they were standing in solidarity with the people on the inside who were fighting. I remember I covered one deportation story where the guy said he would prefer to commit suicide before he was deported back to Jamaica because he knows for sure that he is not going to make it. Right? He had a bunch of issues going on and he had nobody in Jamaica, and he hadn't been to Jamaica since he was 2 years old, and he was almost 40 years old being deported back. So, and he actually did try to commit suicide. I think he was also one of the people that was taken off the list. Zachary White, a solicitor at Sperrin Law who represented Ferris and Lynch, said, "After being tried, the Brookhouse 3 have been acquitted by a jury. We are honored to have represented 2 of these inspiring defendants whose deeds were a prime example of the direct actions that form such a strong tradition in this country. The defendants' resolve in facing many months of prosecution was matched by their clear, measured, and impassioned evidence at trial which addressed the injustices of the immigration detention and removal system. There is no question that this was the right decision both on the law and morally." Hussein Hassan of Common Solicitors, who represented Mitchellthwaite, said, "Throughout the 19 months that this case has been pursued, the 3 defendants maintained that their actions were necessary to prevent harm from being caused to these people that were held at Brook House IRC at the removal center who were facing deportation to Jamaica on a chartered flight. Today's acquittal of these 3 by a jury is welcome. However, They should never have faced such charges of causing a public nuisance for taking the actions that they did. So, in ending that, I will say this again. The UK is one of these places where I have seen it with my own two eyes as it is. Like, these people didn't have to do this. They could be like the rest. Build a wall. Get them out of our country. That kind of mentality. But they're not. And it's a lot of these kinds of people that are in the UK actually. And if you don't believe it, just look at the pictures and the videos of the protests that go on when they try to block traffic and cause a stir and come out in their numbers holding their big placards. You will see that there are a lot of them that stand up for those that are being persecuted under deportation. Let's remember this. Not every deportee is a bad person, okay? Some people really are just trying to escape harsh conditions and trying to look for better for themselves and their families. A place to excel, a place where opportunities abound, a place where they can become better, a place where they can at least have a decent life. That's all they're looking for. And they so happen to have stayed over longer than they were welcomed in somebody's country, and that automatically makes you an illegal person, right? Doesn't mean that they were killers, drug mules, or any of those things, violent people, even though you do have those. And we still stand on the premise that when you're going to other people's country, bring the best you with you. If you're going there to harm people, get involved in illegal activities, waste your time and your opportunity, then by all means, kick them out and send them back and let somebody else get the opportunity who would have made better of it. But shout out to the people who are just trying to find a place where they can have a better life, and shout out to these three for seeing through all the propaganda that comes with this. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one, and I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.